Hello, everyone, and welcome to another show here. It's September 27, 2022. So I thought I'd talk a little bit today about tone, and really what I was originally intending to do is talk a bit about preventing unwanted tones, but thinking about a title on that, just thought, well, call it clean phrasing, or the kind of the aspiration to play cleanly. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So I actually find this particularly challenging on this guitar. So sort of fitting that we use this one. So if you're listening on the podcast, I'm playing a solid body Ibanez. I forget the model number, but it's kind of a double cutaway in the Les Paul kind of style, but with a double cutaway. So, one thing about this particular guitar, and one thing that you might find in different things that you do or play, is that you have different shapes and different sizes. So let me adjust my volume a little bit. Different strings. So this one has a really very small body, and so when I get my arm over it, I have to be a little bit careful about how I'm interacting with the strings, and even kind of keep the elbow a little bit higher than I might normally do. But so some of the fundamental things involved with this, we want to kind of keep the notes in the left hand. So the more that the left hand does as far as controlling notes, the freer the right hand can be, and then the opposite. So I'm speaking as a right-handed guitarist here. So, but the fretting hand, so the more the fretting hand does, the freer the picking hand can be. All right. So if I'm holding 5th fret on string 5, I can really strum all the strings, right? And just play it pretty freely, or just, focus on that one string or hit a couple strings. So sometimes it's nice to have that little bit of an effect of the sound. So the finger, when I do that, what the finger is doing is having the tip of the finger, which is not actually the very tip, but sort of the pad and the close to the tip on the note itself, and then the fingertip is touching the string, lower sounding string. In case we get a little thud there. And then I'm arching the finger over, but it's touching the string. So this is a nice practice kind of thing that you can do, which is to take the first finger around and just kind of hit the strings fairly freely. Now, as I move up to a higher note, so I went to the 3rd string there. So then I can take these other fingers, say fingers 2, 3, and maybe 4, and touch some of those lower strings, right? So, okay, so you can practice that, just kind of strumming fairly freely. And then playing octaves is another really good activity for this as well. So you just play an octave. See if you can rest the middle two fingers on some of the lower strings, especially second finger, and then arch the other ones over. So the underside of the finger that is not contacting the string that we want to play, that one should be touching the string, especially the first finger. Okay. So that is a little bit of a lesson on that. So you can play around the neck. And then focus your attention kind of on the feeling of the first finger, the interaction there with some of the strings that you're not playing that are on the floor side of the note that you're playing. All right, so I'll play around with the tune a little bit. So we're still working on Nuage. We have a few more days, then we'll pick a new tune. Please let me know if you have a particular tune in mind. Okay, now, so this is a particularly important topic when we think about recording and also solo playing. That's really kind of when the pressure is on, in particular, when we're the only instrument. Because sometimes the little things might get lost a little bit in the other instruments, and sort of the ear maybe filters it out. But playing solo, that's a spot where it will really show up pretty clearly. And then recording, you really want to achieve all of this really at all times. But recording, you solo your track, or you have something that's just kind of popping out of the mix at just the wrong time, and especially when you go to let's say bring your levels all up, and maybe you have compression and it's bringing up things that were kind of inaudible before. So that's where really playing cleanly can be really particularly important there. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the right hand. or the picking hand, I should say. All right, so the picking hand, the way I kind of approach it, I think this is generally the approach for most guitarists anyway. So if I'm picking here, then the palm, particular from about the thumb to, I don't know what this is even called, but this is sort of the corner there, opposite corner of the hand from the thumb. There I'm trying to really control some of those lower strings a lot of the time, especially when I'm playing single line. So I'm just kind of keeping the palm of the hand there on the notes, and sometimes I might even touch the top strings with sort of the outside of the pinky finger as well, so that there's kind of a line going from the pick passing through this open part of the hand. It's really nice for the right hand or the picking hand to be able to play as freely as possible. So at least I find so. But you may find that you're going to have to limit, some things. And originally I was thinking about calling this talk clean tones and phrasing, but then I thought, well, this really applies to more of the dirty sort of tones that you might have, so distortion or anything like that. It actually becomes almost even more critical to control those strings, because they really seem to want to, the notes seem to really want to come alive. So that's another thing which you can practice a little bit with a little distortion. So that can be something that can help you in your practice session as well, is to play a little bit with a little bit of gain on there. All right, so let's say a little more playing here, and then we'll talk a little bit more about some techniques and stuff. All right, you may also find different parts of the neck. There can be slightly different issues. So when you come up here, let's say 9th position, 12th position, we want to kind of watch out for those lower notes. If you play a note on a string, say string 3 or 4, or play a note that, if you play a note that is one of the open strings, then another note might ring sympathetically. So let's say you pluck string 6, fret 15. You can check this out. If you try this out, if you pluck it, try to pluck this fairly hard. You can probably see this if you're watching the video, but the third string may start to vibrate. So you can actually feel it when you stop it. So, okay. So that's something you can test out on your own, is pluck, let's say, just like I said, string 6, fret 15, and then check that third string. Does it ring when you pluck that? All right, so how to, let's say, kind of practice some of these ideas. Well, you can use just about anything, really. You could use a particular phrase or melody. You could improvise. You could work on an exercise. But let's come up with a little bit of a plan. So let's say you're playing, while working on this tune, it's in G major. So you can play a scale and see how legato, see how long the tones are. Try to hear if there are any notes that are trying to kind of creep in there, or if that are going maybe unnoticed, and just kind of use those patterns. Another scale we talked about was the harmonic major. Okay, and then just kind of test how cleanly those are coming across. All right, so we spent a lot of the time talking about single notes. Let's talk a little bit about some chords. So let's say we have a G major 7. Now, one thing that we want to do here is take the first finger again and have it interacting, just kind of touching string 5 and string 1. So this is a drop 3 G major 7 chord, third position. Okay, so we could strum that. Okay, let's take a different example. Let's say we were strumming A flat major 7. Okay, so we're strumming A flat major 7. Okay, so I'm muting those. So those are kind of getting lost in the tones that are ringing out. Now, what if I'm not doing that technique? What happens if that is the case? So let's listen to that. It's interesting. It's kind of ugly, but it might have its place somewhere. But that's not what we're trying to do, right? We have to intentionally think, okay, I want those notes. Okay. So we use this technique so that we can play something like that anywhere and kind of have a consistent tone. So especially those drop 3 type voicings, practice those and make sure that at least the ones that you're playing, strings 2 through 5, that you're muting strings 5 and 1. And another issue that happens is sometimes folks will play a note on that string, which also it can be a problem. So that means you're pressing too hard. Okay, so that doesn't belong there unless you're intending for it to be there. Okay. So if you're not touching the string at all or pressing too hard, then that's not what we're going for with this kind of thing. I know this talk is clean phrasing, but we can work chords into our phrasing as well. Okay, so here's another chord. This is the B flat diminished with a flat 6. Okay, so there again, the second finger is touching that string. The first finger tipped, I think we talked about earlier, is touching that string as well. So that's very protected. The fourth finger is touching first string, okay, and the first finger is touching first string. So we get a lot of, I'd say, kind of insurance on really controlling these strings that are inactive, but are going to interact with the pick if you're picking. So if it's finger picking, you might say, well, it's a little bit easier to control because you have specific notes that will ring out. But you're still going to want to be careful about how you release from the strings, how you approach a string, how you leave a string. So, and this applies to single notes. So if you leave the string by going somewhat down or somewhat up, you're going to kick off some open strings. So you want to release the finger straight away from the string. So straight out from the string. So above, out from the string. Okay. So it's really kind of about preventing those unwanted sounds. And then we have to kind of keep our ear out, especially for D and G, those strings. You really want to keep your ear out for that and really notice when they're ringing. Sometimes we can get really wrapped up in our playing and not really notice exactly what's going on with that. All right, everybody. Well, I think that's going to be it for today's talk. Again, let me know if you have any questions, any interests. Yeah, we'll be needing to pick out a new song, a new tune for October. So let me know if you have any suggestions, and I can't guarantee that I will do it, but if it's kind of in line with some of the goals and there's a lot to work from, then I'll see about it. All right, everybody. Well, thanks again for listening and watching, and I'll see you in the next one.